Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Fighting Spirit Film Festival interviews with me, Jess. And today we're with our special guest. Introduce yourself.
Hello everyone, my name is Bradley. I go by Teen Gohan. I'm a London-based filmmaker, musician, and this year I had Stalkers, a short film of mine in Fighting Spirit, so it was a great experience. So,
Can you explain to us your alias name?
yeah, of course. I'm a big Dragon Ball Z fan. Big fan of Dragon Ball Z. And when I started making music and like doing music videos for friends, I would do it under the moniker Teen Gohan. Just kind of stuck really because I'm a big Teen Gohan fan.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I came to doing fictional shorts as well, the name just carried over. Maybe I'm just too embarrassed to use my own name. But I think it's cool. A lot of directors of music videos, especially like SoundCloud rap and stuff, they don't use their name as the director. They'll go by like their Instagram name or their pseudonym, something like that. So yeah, it kind of comes from that sort of space, really.
I know this is a hard one, and I ask this of everybody, but describe yourself in 3 fictional characters.
Okay, that is tough. The thing is, if it was what are your 3 favorite, that's a very different character. But describe myself, well, I guess because I'm go by the name Teen Gohan. I guess the first one's got to be Gohan from Dragon Ball Z. He's just a great character. He's very optimistic. I like to think that I'm pretty optimistic most of the time as well. And he's a academic. He studies a lot. I don't really study that much. And then there's a character, Chomo One, in 2046, a One Call Y film. I'm a big One Call Y fan. And there's Tony Lung character. He's basically like a writer, also a bit of a romantic, but he's writing on these, all his dating life. He's kind of writing sci-fi stories. So I definitely relate to just like that writer character. And then for a third one, I don't know, maybe like Billy Madison from the Adam Sandler film or something, just because I'm a bit of a goofball at times as well. So yeah, something like that maybe. But that's a really good question. I like that one a lot.
That's the quickest I've ever heard somebody answer that question. Somebody who's actually tackled the question.
Yeah, I think I've probably thought about this before. A big fan of like fictional stuff, so I'm always kind of relating my life to like characters that I identify with.
What was your first experience with filmmaking?
Yeah, so I did a 2-minute short film for media studies in like sixth form, but it was so bad that the teacher in the class laughed at it. I thought it was like funny as well, so I could see the funny side. I just kind of wasn't into it. Yeah, I was into films, but it was just too big for me to tackle. So it wasn't really until like I moved to London and kind of got onto a short horror film set with a few friends of mine, director friend of mine called Alps. And I was doing behind the scenes, and I'd say that was my first proper, filmmaking experience. Just seeing like an indie, no budget horror short film in Hampstead Heath come together and see what the problems were and see how it turned out in the edit. I think that was the first proper experience, really.
It's amazing that you didn't let your sixth form experience get you down, because I feel like if the first thing doesn't turn out perfect, it really does impact your confidence of, can I do this?
Yeah, 100%. No, that was like a funny one. It's like, I feel like I have so many relics from my like teenage years that are just hilarious that me and my friends like to joke about. So it's not something I take that seriously. But I think when I started pursuing it, more seriously, my mid-20s when I moved to London, that's when I, really kind of realized this what I wanted to do, and it kind of just became my passion.
You just answered my next question of, when did you know that you wanted to pursue filmmaking?
Well, yeah. So I did an English degree, English with creative writing. I was writing short stories and trying to write a novel in my early 20s. But once I left uni, I just started watching films all the time, like buying DVDs back when you would actually buy DVDs, just trying to get into different films. I've always been into films before anyway, but it just started to become more a thing. I kind of started to dream about like one day making like a Jean-Claude Van Damme biopic, muscles from Brussels, and maybe one day. But yeah, just started to get these film ideas in my head, and then when I moved to London, that's where it kind of really seemed possible, because I started to actually meet people who were making films or were runners, and started to get on set and go, okay, there's one thing like having an idea, but there's so many skills that you have to learn to actually make films. That's when I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. So I just started to kind of learn as much as possible all the time. So for the past, I'd say 6-7 years, kind of filmmaking has just been like a big pursuit of mine, really.
How would you describe your filmmaking style? Are there any genres particularly that you lean towards?
Yeah, it's hard to describe, really. I like a lot of stylish filmmakers, like One Called Why, Michael Mann, Zack Snyder, and sort of stuff like that. And I definitely, one thing that I really want to do with my films is to have my own like visual style, whether that's to do with the colors I use, the music I use, the types of stories I tell. Never at the cost of telling a good story. There won't be too much style that is just, no substance. I think genre-wise, like I really like to delve more into stuff like sci-fi, bit of fantasy and sort of stuff like that. Those sort of genres where you can tell like a really action-packed story, or like a story that's got a big narrative arc, but you're able to create like great visual worlds.
In your opinion, what makes a great film, whether a short film or a feature-length film?
First of all, good story or character. If you've got like either a really strong narrative that you're kind of really hooked onto, or just there might not be much narrative, but there might be a really great character that you relate. That's the first kind of thing to really get you into it. And then I think after that, for me to elevate it to the next level, it's all the filmmaking aspects coming together. So film, if the cinematography really embellishes the story, and then the music complements that, all those different elements coming together. So I definitely find that, there's sometimes films that, have a great story and character, but they just don't have that visual identity or musical identity or something like that. But for me, when the score is super memorable, or the images are really memorable, as well as the story, when all those kind of things come together, I think they're what make my favorite films.
You are a jack of all trades. Does each trade affect each other? So does directing affect your cinematography and vice versa?
Yeah, definitely. Part of the past 5-6 years of learning filmmaking, big focus for me has been working in the camera department. So I work as a camera assistant, as a camera operator, and do lots of different things regarding camera, as my freelance work. I'm learning so much about the camera department, and it is a very important one on set, because so much to do with timing, and so much to do with making your day run, is to do with being, the quicker you can be to set up your cameras, the quicker you can be to set up your lighting, the more coverage you can make, the more time you can spend with your actors. 100%, like I'm very visual, and that's why I moved from writing to filmmaking, was because I realized the more I was writing, the more it was like, I want to see this visually. I definitely trying to, cinematography is something very important to me, so trying to make it not forefront, but definitely stamp my films with a unique look, I guess.
What's the most important thing you do as a director when you get on set?
Well, normally I stress out the first thing I do when I get on set, and just go a bit like, what am I doing? And a little bit of imposter syndrome. But, I think just trying to make sure everyone's happy to start with, everyone's kind of comfortable. You kind of start your day by being like, hey, how you doing? Say hello to everyone. But me, I take time quite seriously on set. So, I really want to try and get the most out of my day without pushing everyone like, hard or anything like that. So, we can get a lot of great shots out of a 10-hour day. We don't need to do 12, 13 hours. That's great by me. I can, I can send people home a bit earlier, and, people aren't here until, really late. So, yeah, I'm trying to kind of, get everyone on board, try and kind of have a bit of a game plan. And as we go on through the day, try and talk to the casting crew, and try and figure out the problems, and get them on board to help me with any problems, and create any solutions that we need, really.
What inspired you to make the short film Stalkers?
Well, actually, Fighting Spirit did. I had a short film in Fighting Spirit in 2019. I spoke to Weng, who obviously runs Fighting Spirit with Sue, and he was like, yeah, it's a good short, but you need to come back bigger and better next year. And I was like, yeah, I want to come back. And the great thing about Fighting Spirit is that you do physical screening. In fact, there's such a great community of fighting spirit that you guys have. You know, everyone's really friendly. There's so much talent of fighting spirit that I really wanted to have something that I could kind of showcase there to kind of go, hey guys, I want to make action films too. So that was the first part of it, you know, and I ended up doing it at very short notice. So it was all done in about 2 months or a month before the deadline. And then the other influences were, you know, a lot of kind of old survival horror type, you know, games and films like Aliens, Resident Evil 2, the game, big fan of that. So yeah, it was kind of like going back to my childhood a bit more and like what scared me as a kid, I think.
What was your favorite part of working on your short film?
I think you know, it's definitely very satisfying as a director when you see the end result and, you know, see it screened. Flying through was great, but I think just working with the cast and crew was really great. I had such a great team. We all kind of got together, and they all kind of, you know, really made it happen for me, and you know, worked really hard, and they all brought something to the table. You know, had a really great team, great DP, Courtney, great stunt team led by Alexander, great makeup artist Alice, great sound recordist Karen, who also helped me with the score. Another great composer called Tom Jeeves, great cast as well. Ning and Annie were amazing. So yeah, I think working with all of them, they were all just very professional, despite it being such like a low budget passion project. And they all just brought so much to the table. Like it definitely made the project shine more than it would have if it was just me in my like bedroom by myself, you know.
Can you talk us through the lighting design?
First of all, yeah, I work with a great DP called Courtney, and we actually met each other as camera assistants on short films and worked together before. So when it came to doing this project, I knew that I wanted to focus on directing and be less involved with the camera. So I got him on board, and we basically just went around my flat and were like, okay, we figured out where the lights were going to be. So I told Courtney that the 2 lighting sources I want were moonlight, a blue moonlight that would be coming soft through the windows, and a red siren that would be going off. And I just really wanted that blue and red contrast look. You know, it was kind of in there from the beginning with the red moon and the blue sky. So I kind of wanted to have that carry over into the internal house as well. I think it comes from, you know, Aliens and sort of stuff like that, where you've got the red sirens going, and those sort of like 80s, 90s, like horror sci-fi, they use those like very saturated colors like blue and red a lot. So yeah, it came from that really, and me and Courtney just figured out, okay, well, we went through all the blocking of where the characters would be, and we figured out where we needed light sources. We were very aware that there would be a lot of fall-offs. There would be parts where, you know, if we have a light at the end of the hallway and a character walks to the middle, they're going to have a bit less light on them. But, you know, you've got to embrace those sort of dark moments where they might be right next to the siren, or they might be far away from it, or right next to the window. And we kind of lit the space, I guess. And I think occasionally we brought in a little bit of light, for example, where Annie's character was in the cupboard. But yeah, like it was a really fun lighting challenge for Courtney and me to figure out, really.
Can you tell us about the different special effects you used?
Definitely, it's all quite new to me as a director. I don't have loads of experience besides just doing stuff on Premiere myself. First of all was to design this demon outfit, which I just kind of kept simple with like a very cheap rain mat from Amazon. I also designed these very weird light things. So I wanted red demon eyes shining. So I don't know if this still works. A little kind of, so they were wearing these, and then with a black balaclava, so to stop light getting on their face. So the stunt actors, James and Deirdre, were very claustrophobic during the day in those costumes, and very hot and sweaty during summer. So that was the first thing that we did. We then had a really great makeup artist, Alice, who came on and did some cuts and blood effects and sort of stuff like that. And then finally in the edit, I kind of added muzzle flashes and a little bit of blood splatter. So, you know, it wasn't anything too crazy. I think it was definitely a little challenge for me to try and figure out how do we do as much as possible on set. I think, you know, going forward, I'd like to kind of work with the same team and go make more. So I think we'd like to go bigger and better going forward, you know, do some more gruesome effects, you know, so that'd be quite fun.
I've seen a lot of fake blood. Yeah, I've seen so much fake blood. I think my boyfriend would be interested in that because he builds robots for like robot fighting.
Right, okay, well, wow, that's awesome, that's really cool. Well, maybe have to get him on for a robot, like, action horror.
Yeah, you would enjoy them, but they're like minuscule. They're like
Ones.
they're small.
But they can be more terrifying. Like imagine like 50 of them coming towards you. That'd be terrifying. Sometimes little creatures or robots can be just as terrifying when there's a lot of them.
How did you design the action sequences and stunts in the film? You talked about having a stunt coordinator.
Yeah, so I worked with Alexander. He's a great a screamer practitioner based in West London. He has a gym out in West London that we went to, and then we worked with two other martial artists, James and Deirdre, who train with him. So they're a very tight team already, and I think they've done a lot of projects together. Yeah, at his gym, we kind of recreated with a bit of boxes and sort of stuff the layout of the flat. I kind of knew this wouldn't be the most action-packed short film because it was very much thriller and horror, and just with the space of the flat, I knew that it'd be quite confined in the amount of time and resources. But we definitely wanted to get as much action out as possible, despite that. So yeah, we just worked out how many demons we could have, when we could reuse the same stunt person for another demon, different things like that, and just went for the action. And then on the day a few things changes. I think we added a little bit of an extra sequence on the stunt day, but it was great working with him, and since then we've worked together once or twice more. Yeah, hoping to work with him more. He's a really talented guy, very passionate, martial artist, actor, and choreographer really. So yeah, hopefully we'll be back with bigger and better action next year.
And lastly, what do you see as the future of filmmaking?
Kind of very much interested in this actually, because I think now is such a good time to be a filmmaker. 20-30 years ago, when film 35mm, different types of film stock was predominant. Film's very expensive. It means that it would cost so much to make a film back in the day. Whereas now technology is getting so cheaper that I think, having really powerful small cameras, iPhone 13, different things like that, Premiere Pro, like After Effects, like 3D software that's free, like Blender. I'm kind of very excited to see what, no budget, low budget, DIY filmmakers, I think the films I'm making, will be outmatched, in 10, 20, 30 years when you've got the new generation who are so tech savvy and so creative that I think we'll see some just crazy stuff coming out. So I think I'm more interested in that than stuff shot on IMAX. I'm more interested to see what the no budget indie filmmakers are doing, how creative they can be. I can go for speed round, yeah. Okay,
time for speed round. So speed rounders, you pick one film per question. What is the last film you watched?
June, the Denis Villeneuve film.
What is the next film you're going to watch?
I don't know. I'll probably end up rewatching Ghost in the Shell soon at some point.
I'm gonna guess the anime.
Yes, of course.
Just clarify. What is the best film made in the last 5 years?
Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Your favorite person, what is their favorite film?
I think my girlfriend's favorite film is Jackie Brown.
Fun one. Oh, what film has the best soundtrack?
Solaris, by not the 60s, not the Tarkovsky one, not 70s, but the Steven Soderbergh remake in 2002. That's got a great soundtrack.
Well, that's the end of the interview. Thank you so much.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Jess. I really appreciate it, and thanks, Flying Spirit. Look forward to being back at Flying Spirit next year and chat to you more, hopefully.